Hi, I'm Ken Steele. Welcome to another 10 with Ken. We'll be in Eduvation's brand chemistry lab for a few more weeks as we round up further highlights from our global survey of higher ed visual identities. This week, we continue our in-depth look at the world's 10 best recent rebrands, and a couple of honorary mentions. Let's take 10 and get inspired. 10 with Ken is an almost weekly look at higher ed news, trends, innovations, and bright ideas, in and out of the classroom. Brought to you by Eduvation. In the past few episodes, I've mentioned just how popular mountains seem to be in recent higher ed brand identities. But that doesn't mean they don't sometimes turn out quite well. In fact, two of the best identity redesigns in recent years focused on mountain imagery. East Stroudsburg University is part of the Pennsylvania state system, located in the beautiful Pocono Mountains. Its previous logo, dating back 24 years, emphasized the campus location near the Delaware Water Gap. But in January 2017, ESU unveiled a much sleeker, more modern visual identity, intended to portray an institution that was bold, confident, and aspirational. The banner shape is intended to suggest the banners at commencement ceremonies, with the implication of academic excellence. The addition of silver creates a more sophisticated color palette. ESU athletes have been called Warriors since 1932, but used Native American imagery until NCAA regulations required them to phase it out. After 8 years using Bergie the Warrior Bear as a mascot, he was finally retired last year to be replaced by a more Spartanesque warrior, contained in the same banner shape. Mountains were core to another top-notch identity redesign out of Colorado Springs. The Colorado College is a private liberal arts college established in 1874 near the base of Pikes Peak. It's been ranked the best private college in Colorado by Forbes magazine, and captured my attention years ago for its revolutionary block plan. Students on the block plan study a single subject for 3.5 weeks, write an exam, and move on to a new course. It's an intensive, immersive model that seems ideal for an attention deficit generation, and it's been emulated at many other institutions, like Quest University in Squamish, BC. For almost 20 years, Colorado College was using a linked C calligraphic logo on a block of graduated color. Any logo design that depends on a graduated fill should be an obvious no-no. In early 2016, they unveiled a strikingly new brand identity using sans serif typography, 2 C's in overlapping blocks, and triangles suggesting its setting near the Rocky Mountains.
There was a point where we say a bit of graphic magic occurred, where we discovered that the people and the place and the program of Colorado College could be represented with the circle and the square and the triangle. And you can see those forms if you look for them in the final mark.
In general, I'm not a fan of the block-based logo anymore, but for a college that's built its international profile on the strength of its block method, it makes perfect sense. There were a couple of mountain redesigns that were major improvements, although they don't make it into my top 10. Feather River College in California massively improved on its logo. The river that is simultaneously a feather is an inspired design solution, which even hints at Golden Eagle athletics. The typography is my only disappointment here. It needs tightened kerning and probably needs to be larger so that the weight of the mountains and letter forms feels more balanced. But it's a huge improvement. British Columbia's College of the Rockies replaced their 20-year-old torn paper mountains with a much more modern curve, intended to suggest continuous lifelong learning and sustainability. It's intended to convey a sense of journey, approachability, and an adventurous spirit. The curves are mesmerizing and certainly distinctive, but again, the typography kind of lets us down. The icon looks best used on its own. Over the years, I admit, I have been pretty tough on institutions sporting atomic or swooshy logos that look like something out of the Jetsons, perhaps none so much as Calgary's SAIT Polytechnic. It always looked like something from the 1950s, but it was actually designed in 1998. For an innovative, industry-connected, entrepreneurial institute of technology, the look was incredibly stale and tired. Well, finally, in April 2016, SAIT unveiled a bold new brand identity that was a breath of fresh air. The spherical icon, the catalyst, is an activator of change, composed of 5 S-shaped connectors that form interlocking infinity symbols. The 5 connectors represent the interdependence of key stakeholders, and the spherical distortion suggests an international outlook and global collaborations. SAIT retained its traditional blue and red, but added 3 energizing new colors to freshen the identity and suggest diversity, adaptability, and innovation. The white star-like shape at the center of the catalyst is supposed to embody a passion for excellence. Many stakeholders never even noticed that SAIT dropped the word Polytechnic, which was just confusing for Canadians anyway. The bright colors look brilliant on stationery, and the shape makes a great campus statue, unveiled earlier this month. The brand architecture allows for school and program sub-brands. The custom curved stroke in the letter A echoes the shape and 3-dimensional shadows of the icon, nicely integrating wordmark with icon. It's that kind of detail that makes a logo design a thing of beauty. Often, it's inspired simplicity that makes an effective and timeless brand identity. In Suffolk, Britain, 2 institutions, the University of East Anglia and the University of Essex, offered their programs at what was called the University Campus Suffolk. The UCS logo was a series of intersecting lines and nodes reversed out of a brightly colored block. The color of the block was changeable. But then, UCS was granted independent university title in May 2016 and adopted the new name University of Suffolk. Not to be confused with Suffolk University in Boston. The new icon retained the familiar square shape, but treated it more like a traditional shield, including the bright yellow of Suffolk County's flag. Suffolk prides itself on being a transformational university, and retained Manchester design firm Only to develop a new identity on the central theme of change. The 45-degree angle of yellow lends the logo a sense of momentum and forward motion, suggesting a page being turned to reveal what's next, and also serving as a directional arrow pointing to Suffolk's location in the southeast of England. Materials use confident type treatments and a modern color palette, and work variations on forward-facing angles. The yellow triangle bleeds off the lower right corner of stationery. The triangular tearaway on the packaging for the undergraduate viewbook is especially effective at reinforcing the brand. This is one of those visual identities that met universal acclaim from campus stakeholders, right from the start. Of course, it really helps when you're branding a brand new institution, so no one's too attached to the former look. Finally, one of my favorite rebrands comes from an institution in North Vancouver, British Columbia. This is their second major identity revision in a decade, but a big improvement. When Capilano College was granted university status in 2008, they abandoned a dated-looking visual of stacked textbooks forming the letters CC for an Aboriginal-inspired CU more reminiscent of wood carving. After all, the name Capilano comes from the Squamish word for beautiful river. The traditional serif typography didn't quite fit though, and the color was tired. So I was relieved to see a much more dynamic Capilano brand unveiled in late 2016. The new logo transforms the traditional academic shield by treating it as 3 brightly colored feathers from an eagle's wing. The style is definitely influenced by traditional Coast Salish indigenous art, where the eagle is a guide and messenger symbolizing wisdom, friendship, and leadership. Ion Design worked closely with 2 native artists, Marissa Nahani and Jordan Galley, and consulted with First Nations elders throughout the process. By the way, another runner-up that almost made it into the top 10 also featured the eagle for its indigenous symbolism. Alberta's Northern Lakes College finally revised an 18-year-old logo with a much improved brand identity that retains the eagle as a symbol of strength, courage, wisdom, and freedom. But back to Capilano. Capilano wanted a new identity that reflected a much more confident, unified, and creative institution. The brand guide explains a ton of multi-layered symbolism that will go right over most people's heads, but in particular, we're expected to see Capilano's ocean, forest, and mountain setting, its place between sea and sky, and influences of nature. The combination of linear and circular organic shapes and the rainbow of color emphasizes diversity and collaboration. Of course, those unfamiliar with coastal artistic tradition may instead be reminded of Fruit Loop spokesperson Toucan Sam. Personally, the translucent, candy colors remind me of Apple's first line of gumdrop-shaped iMac computers. Tasty. A system of logo overlays has been developed to create wallpapers or add texture to photography, and the business cards have gorgeous back panels. Sub-brands include the informal CapU logo, and while there are variants for single-color reproduction, I have to admit the black and white version is much less appealing. But before you go, there's one recent redesign that deserves honorable mention in this roundup. The redesign was extraordinarily subtle. Augsburg College is a private liberal arts college founded in 1869 in Minneapolis. This March, the institution announced that it would begin transitioning its name to Augsburg University this September. Not to be confused with the University of Augsburg in Germany. The change was to reflect its range of graduate degree offerings, just in time for its 150th anniversary. Augsburg hired one of its own graduates, Samuel Gross, to update the institution's logo ever so subtly.
From early on, part of our conversation was that this logo project should be an evolution of the Augsburg brand, not a revolution. And by that, we mean that we wanted to preserve kind of the equity that's been built as part of the Augsburg brand. We preserve and respect the historic nature of the university, but also have created a new type treatment that embraces the future.
Like so many other institutions in our Global Identity Survey, Augsburg moved from serif type to a combination of serif and sans serif, and the crossbar was given greater interest and energy at both ends. Nicely done. So, those are the top 10 brand redesigns of the past 2 years that I think deserve special attention. Next time, we're going to take a detailed look at recent branding misfires. Sometimes because of uninspired designs, but more often because campus stakeholders weren't prepared for change. Some institutions backed down and abandoned their redesign, while others pushed onward despite the criticism. To be sure you don't miss it, take a moment now to join more than 15,000 10 with Ken subscribers and followers on any of a dozen platforms. You'll find links to all these channels and an email subscription form on our website at 10withken.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. 10 with Ken is a production of Eduvation Inc., copyright 2017. I'm available for conference keynotes, campus PD events, board retreats, and committee workshops, in person or now virtually too. For more information, please visit www.eduvation.guru or 10withken.com. And Triangle is suggesting its setting near the Rocky Mountains. The Rocky Mountains? Really? The 5 connectors Fruit Loop spokesperson Toucan Sam. Fruit Loop spokesperson Toucan Sam. Stop.